Hey there, everyone. This is Valerie Smith, a traditional Chinese medicine TCM women's wellness mentor, supporting women as they move through midlife and age into their power by looking through the beautiful and powerful lens of Chinese medicine. I feel called today to speak on this topic. Why are the terms feminism and feminist often deemed so controversial? And I've always been curious about this because it seems like there is a firebrand of it's not a term that people may be comfortable with. It's a term that people sometimes are very defensive about, either really want to associate themselves with it or don't want to associate themselves with it. What called me to this talk today is in part because I work with women, particularly women moving through midlife, and we carry all these viewpoints and experiences and messages with us. And part of what happens at this point in our lives is we start to reevaluate and really think about what messages serve me. So part of why I'm talking about this today is I was on social media yesterday on a Facebook, and someone posted something that was negative about women, and a male commented. And when I talk about this, I'm not making any sweeping generalizations about all women or all men. This is what happens. This is how it goes. There was a comment on the post that said, when I grew up, women were in the kitchen, and I wish they were still there. And I looked at that, and this is someone likely my age, so I had similar influences, and I looked at that, and my first thought was, you know what, 50% of the women who were in the kitchen that made you so comfortable and supported you were likely depressed, on Valium, angry. Why? Why is that? Because feminism is about choice. It's not a dirty word. And often the nerd in me comes out. I get really curious. There's so much thrown at those terms, both positive, negative, and everywhere in between. So I go and I look up the meaning. So feminism is simply the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of equality of sexes. And a feminist is simply someone who supports feminism. So if you are a woman alive today, you have benefited from the feminist movement. And in my opinion, we are all innately feminists. It's because we have greater choice. We have greater independence. However, there's still a lot of judgment and guilt. Women who decide to stay home and have kids feel guilty. Women who decide to not have kids and have a career feel outside of the home feel like maybe they're doing something wrong. Women who have kids and work outside the home feel guilty, like they're doing something wrong. Somehow we all feel like there's something wrong with what we're doing. And we are all caretakers, so we easily fall into taking care of everyone else, regardless of what's going on in the larger context of our life. And yet we find it often difficult or controversial to say, I'm a feminist. And I feel very passionate about this because working with women, we need to let go of the guilt of doing what brings our soul passion and doing what resonates with us and stepping out of our comfort zone. That's what every human being is meant for, is to find something that makes their soul sing, to find a passion, to live their life in a way that they have choice and independence. And not feeling like they need to do something in particular. So I have a young woman related to me who, when uh, she was probably 12, and I saw her and I said, we were talking and I said, so do you know what you want to do? When you grow up, what are your hopes? What are your dreams? And she looked at me and she said, well, I just want to be a mom. And that broke my heart. It didn't break my heart because she wanted to be a mom. I think that's beautiful. It's a calling. It broke my heart because of what she attached to it. I just want to be a mom. That it wasn't as important as what someone else was doing. And what's incredibly important is women often take that to whatever we're doing. It's not as important. I'm just working. I don't have kids. I have kids. I'm not working. I have somewhere in between that spectrum. And it's so important that we just embrace who we are and cherish it and appreciate it. And part of that aspect, that definition of feminism, a person who supports feminism, a person who supports the advocacy of human rights, we should be supporting each other, embracing our wins, and supporting us when we lose. And we tend to miss that. We tend to miss that in this culture because we're so much in mission mode. And when we apply that through the lens of Chinese medicine, it can have an impact on multiple different areas. Do you find that you're constantly in mission mode? I just need to take care of things. Regardless of what you're doing in life, I need to take care of things. I need to get my spreadsheets in order. I need to plan this. I need to plan that. Well, that's your liver energy in overdrive. You're moving as fast as you can, and part of that could very well be a response to some of these messages that you heard through your life about what a woman should be, how a woman should behave. So I need to make sure I take care of everything in my parameter so that I can do what I want and I don't have to rely on someone, because what I'm doing is outside the box. That's a liver. Liver likes planning. Liver likes that planning for safety. And that overwork, that stress, that overwork allows us to run away from messages that may not resonate with us until, hopefully, we're ready to look at the impact of those messages and let them go. I am only valuable for the work I can do. That's not true. We are valuable for who we are inside. When the kidney is involved, this may be fear-based, lack of willpower, and just exhausted. The kidney energy houses the fire and water. It's that physiological fire that gets us moving, that gets us running up that hill when we're ready to sleep. It gets us motivated. It's that motivating factor. And those women who overwork, they constantly overwork trying to either move forward or prove something based on messages they heard. You're not good enough for XYZ. Instead of, you are good enough and we are going to support you on your way. Somehow we have a message that we're not good enough. So we keep running and running and running. And at some point we run out of gas. And so women who tend to have this nature start to get really fatigued as we age, right? We start to feel more fatigue. We start to have less motivation. And we really need to be quiet. We really need to have that rest and recuperation. And one of the pieces of the puzzle for working with women is helping them to age into their power. And aging into their power does not mean I need to run a marathon. I need to have physical strength. It means I need to strengthen my resolve. I need to rest if I'm more of a kidney energy. I need to step away from the computer if my spleen energy and the intellect is so overloaded and I feel so saturated, because all I know how to do to work and survive is to keep taking in information and try to process it. And at some point, I'm going to be overloaded. And I feel very weak when that happens. My power is that I stop multitasking. The kidney energy power is that I start meditating, even for 5 minutes. Maybe I go from running 6 times a week to one and see how that makes me feel. Aging into my power with liver is wandering with no destination. Take the pressure off of having to get something done, of having to always be on a mission. The aging into the power of the lung energy is finding your voice. The lung energy in Chinese medicine is the respiration. The spirit quality is the corporeal soul, which is the outer shell of our body. It's our filter to the environment. But often with women, it's finding your voice and speaking it, standing in your power. That's your aging into power for lung. And for the heart energy is we say in Chinese medicine, the heart houses the mind. And the heart energy helps to coordinate all those pieces of the puzzle: the intellect, standing in your power, the direction of the liver, the intellect of the spleen, the fire of the kidney, the motivation, helps to coordinate all that. So that heart person is racing all the time. Their mind is racing. It doesn't shut down. The heart person is, do you feel that even when you're being quiet, there's something revving in the back of your head? There's something just waiting there? That's a heart energy person. And aging into her power is, again, it's shutting it down, shutting that mind down, meditating, clearing the mind, grounding the mind, creating space for what comes next. That's the power. And we tend to put so much pressure on ourselves and feel that we need to be in a box. And in this conversation, the box is, yes, I'm a feminist. No, I'm not a feminist. Why can't we all just meet in the middle and say feminism, or supporting women, connecting with women, and moving us all forward for the greater good is what we really need to do, whatever we choose to call it. But that's what we need to do. And this piece of the puzzle, particularly for women moving through midlife who've been through the 60s, 70s, even 80s and 90s, those messages came on very strong that you had a place. You have a place in society. And whether we want to acknowledge it or not, we hear those messages. We may fight them our entire life, or we may acquiesce to them our entire life. And either option doesn't feel very good, because we're not just able to acknowledge it and say, well, how do I really feel about this? What is my place? Where do I want to go from here? And secondly, What I believe that in Chinese medicine, we have a constitutional energy. We have a constitutional type spirit that we are born with. We are also greatly influenced by those nearest and dearest to us. I may have a parent who has more of a heart type constitution, constantly racy, fast talking, easily startled. Maybe they get palpitations with their anxiety. But maybe in addition to that person, the people who I was closest to, the people who were my role models, and sometimes it might have been someone in history, it might be someone on TV. How was I taught to handle life? How was I taught to respond? How was I taught to be in the world? And those qualities of spirit we also carry with us. And so thinking about aging into power is understanding and just having conversations about, what does this really mean to you? Where do you want to be? What organ or organ spirits have been influencing you most predominantly? And when we can see that and then use tools such as creating a ritual or using symbolism, carrying something that you've imbued with a symbolic idea, or maybe it pictures something symbolic to you to remind you of the changes you're making, reminding you what's really your truth, which may not be what you've believed all along, but taking a deeper dive and really seeing what inspires you. That's what aging into power is. And that, I believe, is also a core of feminism. It's not about running a race. It's about acknowledging your curiosity, acknowledging your creativity, acknowledging your independence, acknowledging that you have choice. And whatever choice you make, as long as it resonates with you, that's what you should be doing. So I would love to, in the chat, I would love to hear your thoughts on those words. How did you learn those words? What do they mean to you? Are they kind of do they have a negative connotation? Do you embrace them? Somewhere in between? And I would love to hear that and have conversations with you in the comments. So I hope you all have a wonderful, empowering, creative, curiosity-filled weekend. And I will see you back here next week.